Hello everybody, I'm Behemoth Dan, and this is my first Commander deck tech video. What I want to do with my videos is not necessarily just go over the Commander and the 99 cards in the deck, because it's easy to go look at a list. What I want to focus on in these short videos is to go over the interactions and the unique lines of play and what makes the decks I'm talking about fun and interesting to play. I have approximately 45 or so commander decks built, ranging on the power scale from 1 to like 9.8. And I want to go over them, show you what they are, what you can do to build them, and maybe just give you ideas for your own commanders at home. So the first deck I want to go over is one of my very favorite commander decks. Not my first one, but I knew as soon as I saw Borborygmos Enraged spoiled, I'm like, I'm building this deck. So I spent a few hours down at my local game store with one of my friends who was working there at the time, and we dug through boxes trying to find cards that worked with Borborygmos Enraged. As the years have gone on, as new sets come out, the first deck I think of when I look at cards that are spoiled are, does that go in Borborygmos? As this deck has seen more games played than any of my other decks. It's gotten lots of love, it's been really fine-tuned, and it's the one deck I have that actually am attempting to foil out as, time passes on, just because I love playing it so much. This isn't going to be your standard Gruul aggro deck. We're not playing big stompy creatures that just run over your opponents. This deck is definitely built around the commander, focusing on his ability to get lands from your library when he hits somebody, and the ability to discard those lands to turn them into lightning bolts. So I do want to touch quickly on our basic mana ramp package. Our mana ramp comes in two varieties, and what we're focusing on here is your more standard run-of-the-mill ramp that puts lands into play or allows you to play more than one land a turn. You see things like Azusa, Oracle Moldiah, Burgeoning Exploration, play more than one land. And you have your, usual suspects and things like Rampant Growth, Farseek, and whatnot, and including a couple rare ones like 3 Visits or Spoils of Victory from Portal 3 Kingdoms. Borborygmos costs 8 mana, as you can see. He's very expensive, and there's no way that we're going to be able to be even remotely competitive with the table if we don't get him out as soon as possible. So we have our standard mana ramp, we have Mana Rocks, Soul Ring, we have Nissa who shakes the world, those type of things to help us get our commander out quickly and help accelerate our mana. So here we have the second half of our mana ramp package. The big difference between the cards that we're looking at now and the ones from the last set are that these cards put lands into your hand and into the battlefield as additional effect. But the big thing is we need to make sure that we can power Borborygmos' ability to discard land to lightning bolt things. So ramping him out is important, but also making sure we're fully stocked with cards is important as well. Things like Nylea's Intervention was a great addition to the deck because it allows you to search for any number of lands, equal to X. Not just basics or anything like that, which allows us to go get our silver bullet lands, whether we need them to discard or we just need to keep ourselves alive with things like Glacial Chasm, or we want to get more fetch lands, maybe we need wastelands or strip mine or whatever it might be. This is a really powerful card and has been a great addition to the deck. But Peregrination, Cultivate, Journey of Discovery, things like that, get land into your hand. For us, it's pseudo card draw because we're okay with having our hand full of lands because it gives us strong killing power as we're going throughout the game. So green has access to great card draw as well, and we look for card draw that definitely leans in on the sides of our commander or our ability to deal damage or play lands. Obviously Harmonize, straight up draw cards, but Horn of Greed lets us draw cards when we play lands. Garruk Primal Hunter and Rishkar's Expertise draws cards dependent on the size of our biggest creature. And with Borborygmos coming in at a 7/6 by himself, it's a whole hand of cards. but with things like Xenagos, God of Revels, or God Eternal Ronus triggering their abilities and making Borborygmos a 14 something or even bigger if we have extra land for Kessig Wolfrun, or through our Riding the Dilu horse, he gets very big and we can draw a ton of cards. Snake Umbra and Keen Sense are great in this deck because they're enchantments that say whenever a creature deals damage, you get to draw a card. Now, it doesn't have to be combat damage, which means every land we discard with Borborygmos is drawing us another card. And Sylvan Library is just super strong as extra card draw. And in the next bit, we're going to go over some great card interactions, which make Sylvan Library and Keen Sense of Snake Umbra even better than they are already. So Abundance is an incredibly powerful card. And if you don't know what it does, basically it says if you would draw a card, you name non-land or land. And then you reveal cards from the top of your library until you get a card of that type and you put it in your hand, and the rest on the bottom in any order. Now obviously, sometimes you need some of your utility cards, but it's really easy to just say, I want a land when you draw your card for the turn and get a land which turns into a lightning bolt. Now this combo is great with things like Sylvan Library, because Sylvan Library says you get to draw 2 extra cards a turn, but you have to pay 4 life if you want to keep it. However, each of those draw triggers can get replaced by Abundance. So instead of drawing 2 extra cards and having to pay life if you want them, you just say I want land or non-land, and you get 3 of your Abundance triggers. 1 from your normal draw, and 2 from Sylvan Library, and you don't have to pay any life, because you technically didn't draw any cards, but it tried to. Now if you're following along, what this does with Keen Sense and Snake Umbra is that whenever Borborygmos deals damage to a player or a creature or whatever, you get to draw a card, which then you can then have a replacement effect with Abundance and say, I want another land, which then you can discard again, and then get another draw trigger to get another land, which is your pseudo-infinite combo in the deck, which will let you most likely kill the table unless somebody was playing some crazy life gain. You're going to be able to cycle through every land in your deck until everybody's dead. It's a super great interaction in the deck, and it can definitely turn, Borborygmos into a machine gun, just chucking mountains and forests at people. Alright, the last section I want to go over is just some silver bullet lands and some of our recursion to get stuff back from the graveyard. We have the full set of red-green cycling lands like Forgotten Cave, things like Kessig Wolfrun to pump Borborygmos. We have Strip Mine, and we also have like Wasteland and Tectonic Edge and things like that. Glacial Chasm is great for fighting off, aggressive decks, and with the ability to play it from the graveyard with Red and 6, Creeping Renaissance, Praetor's Council, Crucible of Worlds, things like that, we can get it back without having to worry about the cumulative upkeep getting too big. And Scavenger Grounds is an example of a card we have to hate out other graveyard strategies that might be using the graveyard better than we do. Red and 6 is great early game, obviously, for getting back fetch lands or aggressive strip mines or wastelands. He's just such a strong planeswalker. And Creeping Renaissance and Praetor's Council just bring back either everything or all your lands, and Crucible of Worlds just let you play those lands again. There's a lot of other lands in the deck that do fun little tricks, but these are some of the highlights. Like I said, I don't want to go over the whole 99. Borborygmos Enraged is a great alternative to your standard Gruul commander. He's fun, he's interactive, he's explosive, but he's not going to run at a table that's running, 9.5 type Consultation, Thrasios, Tymna decks. But what I find Borborygmos Enraged is great at is he's great for playing at unknown tables. Depending on how you build him, he can hover between a 6 and an 8. Obviously we know the ranking of the power scale is very loose depending on your meta, but you can kind of get an idea of what I'm getting at. He's a little bit above average. He's really expensive, so it keeps him from being, super, tier 1.5 or anything like that. But he's good if you're going to play with your friends, you want a fun game, but also if you're going to sit down at a table with people you don't know. no one's going to complain about your 8-cost commander being overpowered. And if you find out he's a little underpowered for the table you're sitting at least you can gauge where this group of people are at. He's super fun to build. My list will be posted in the description. I'm constantly playing him and refining him and deciding what works and what doesn't. For example, the next card I want to test in him is one of the new ones, Surly Badgesaur. It says whenever you discard a creature card, put a counter on him. But more importantly, when you discard a land card, you make a treasure token. We're going to see how that works in here. I played tons of games with Borborygmos. I love this deck, and I think it's really fun. And it's definitely a different take on Gruul. So I hope you liked the video. Like I said, I have over 40 commander decks, all built, sitting there behind me in my shelf. I want to go over them, talk about how they're built, what they do, and we'll see what the next one that I build in the future is. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great night and have fun.